Please join me in welcoming Ujjwal Kumar, the Senior Design Manager at Spinny, a man with over a decade of experience in UX and a knack for turning the needs into seamless experiences. With 4 TEDx talks under his belt and 250 plus stage performances as a music creator and performing artist, he's a man of many talents. So whether you're here to dive deep into the world of UX or just curious about how to balance design with non-design spaces, you're in for something special. So let's welcome Ujjwal Kumar.
Today my topic is going to be championing design in non-design spaces. Why did I choose this topic for this conference? And I think the reason for that is that I wanted to talk about something which is very relevant to all of you who are sitting here, and it helps you transition better from academics to the professional world. And I also feel that design is at the center of collaboration between multiple disciplines like engineering, business, and product. At the same time, I also feel that designers are often misunderstood in whichever organization they are. Let's move on to how do we champion design in this ecosystem. And I think one of the first and foremost thing that you would need to do is understand your stakeholders, empathize with your stakeholders. As I mentioned before, the first people that you're working with are probably developers. Now, if you're working with developers, what are the challenges that they are facing? So one of the things that happens usually in a design process, you come with very good aesthetics, very good micro interactions in your project. And when you take it to the developer, the time estimate that that person gives back is not aligning with the time that we have to finish that project. So you need to understand how a design is being developed in the first place. Secondly, with PMs, I feel is that you need to set clear expectations to the PM that this is why design process is important for me, because PMs are going to push you back for stricter and stricter and stricter deadlines. So within that deadline, how do you make sure that you have your process and whatever you've thought about as a designer, that you are following through that entire process yourself? And one of the things that you need to also make sure when you're working with product managers is that you are able to tell them that I need to create more and more iterations. Instead of that coming from the other side, it should be you who's telling them that I need to explore more ideas. And with business, I think one of the key things that you need to understand is what are exactly the business goals, right? And I think people have talked about here that business goals are super important. And I'm going to take it a little further. You need to understand what are the North Star metrics of the product that you're working for. All the other projects that you do within that product is going to align to that North Star goal. It's very, very crucial for you to collaborate and contribute to product analytics. Now, there are two things here, collaboration and contribution. So you collaborate by asking the right questions with your analytics team, if there is an analytics team in a company that you probably go to. Or it's probably the PM who is going to give you the numbers. You need to ask those questions. What are the metrics right now? What are we chasing? Whichever project you go on to, whatever metrics that it could be session time, it could be conversion, it could be click-through rate. Whatever these matrices are, you need to be aware of what is happening currently. And let's say you design a new screen, then you need to identify what all should be measured in the new design, rather than that coming from somebody else. Why? Because you have created that design. You've done it yourself, so you will be the first person to understand. The next thing is, of course, make a habit of doing user research. Now, at this time, it may seem obvious that user research is part of the design process, but when you go and work for a fast-paced, product company, it's actually quite difficult to find time to do user research. And especially if you're going as a product designer and not a user researcher, it's actually quite difficult to take time and prioritize user research. So here are some things that we've done in my team as well, that we have made some habits which are continuous and routine-like. So one thing that we do is that we are able to get quick usability feedback on whatever design we make. It could be a usability feedback, or it could also be a flash feedback. So in case when we design certain screens for our internal users, what we do, and we don't have the time, we go to 5 or 6 of those users and we just show probably an A or a B version, or just show the screen and ask them what you understand by it. That's doing it in under 15 minutes or 20 minutes. That's form of user research that you can do when you are time constrained. The other thing is make a habit and make a routine to listen or observe your users, whoever you're making it for. If you're historically measuring your design, if better, if you're historically understanding what features have you launched and what has worked for you, you will start to build something called design intuition. Now, design intuition is what separates a senior designer from a junior designer, at least from what I understand. So instead of doing A/B for every little feature that you release, it's better to know that these things have worked in the past, so I can take these decisions forward, or these things have not worked, so I have better design intuition over time. So you can take those decisions even before you do the A/B, and that saves some time for the company or the product that you're working. Moving on, I think one of the things I really encourage my team members to do is, if you have made something, then you should be the one presenting it. You should be presenting it to all stakeholders. A PM should not be presenting it. No other person should be presenting it. Why? Because, of course, because you have done the design, so you can defend it better. The other part to it is, if you're going to get some feedback from business, it should be you getting the feedback, not somebody else coming and telling you, okay, this needs to be done. The next thing, design can be both fast and slow. Okay. What do I mean by that? You can build a UI screen in under 15 minutes, and you can build that same screen in 7 days. So where do we decide where do we want to be fast and where do we want to be slow? Where do we want to do 50 iterations and where do we want to just close it in the first iteration itself? Wherever there is an opportunity for you to show speed, and show off speed. Because some days you may have a project which will actually take longer, and at that time nobody is assuming that you're slow. Get non-designers to do designer things. And I've done this in my company. I've gotten my business folks to do brainstorming sessions with us, and it has really helped us. First of all, it brings visibility of design process to all stakeholders. The last thing that I have here is you bring design-driven projects. So a lot of these exercises that I'm telling you, they're eventually going to bring a lot of sense to you about what the product needs to do, or what the business needs to do, and what the user wants. And any questions that you have, you want to throw at me, I would love to answer right now or even later.
Hello, sir. Does the time taken to complete a project, like you said, some designs are fast-paced, some designs are slow, also affects the resources given behind the project? I mean, if the PM says, just do it fast, yeah, there's a lot of money behind it, so does that also depend on it, or?
So there is a lot that goes behind doing something fast and slow. What I would say is that if something has the cost aspect to it, that if we don't fix this today, we are going to probably lose some money tomorrow. And of course that takes a higher precedence. But let's say if something that is not causing us loss at this present moment, but if it goes wrong in the future, if we let's say make something and if that goes wrong, that can cause potential loss, then that will not be a fast project. So that's a logical way to think about it, right? If it's already causing loss today, then you probably want to fix it immediately. And usually designers don't get projects like that, more like a development bug sort of a project. I don't see design getting such kind of projects on a regular basis. But yeah, I hope that answers.
So as you are a music creator and like designer both, so how do you tackle two different fields?
I think
As I'm also a music producer and a designer, so
I think one of the things that I've realized doing these two things is that we think a lot about not having time, and we always have time. And I think you realize that especially during college, but you forget it. You know, once you're out of college, you forget how much chaos have you managed in college. You start forgetting it and you start sleeping on time. But regardless, I think this notion of not having time, and what I've realized is the more routine things you start adding to your routine, कि चलो आज 1 घंटे practice start करते हैं. उसके लिए टाइम निकल जाएगा अगर सीरियस रहोगे तो। एंड कल एक्सरसाइज ऐड करते उसे 1 घंटे म्यूजिक प्रैक्टिस के साथ वो भी ऐड होते चला जाएगा। ऑफ कोर्स इट रीचेस अ सैचुरेशन एट सम पॉइंट, बट आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ अस आर थोड़ा सा अंडर ऑप्टिमाइज। तो इस इंटेंशन से कभी मत सोचना कि दोनों में से यू आर ओनली एबल टू डू वन थिंग। एंड आई थिंक ड्यूरिंग द स्टार्ट ऑफ दिस प्रेजेंटेशन आई सेड दैट आई फील प्रिविलेज्ड कि मैं दोनों काम कर पा रहा हूँ, बिकॉज दोनों में सैचुरेशन आता है और दोनों में इंस्पिरेशन चाहिए। And there is an inspiration overflow from music to design and design to music. And that's the same going to happen to you if you keep continuing this. So make sure you do, because it's definitely going to add to your design skills.
My question is, you talked about involving the stakeholders in the design processes. So how exactly do you do that in a company?
Let's say I have a large project coming in where people are very serious about doing it right. So you get an intention कि उनको सही से करना है, like they want to do it right, they want to put that effort into it. So then we start talking to them that these are the things that we can do. So what happens is that and usually this would happen when we have 2-3 महीने का planning का time. अगर वो नहीं रहेगा immediately सब कुछ आ जाएगा तो नहीं कर पाएंगे. But usually ऐसे बड़े projects, ऐसे critical projects come when you have that sort of time. So then we present these ideas that ये चीजें हम कर सकते हैं. We can go and speak with 25 users, we can listen to these many calls, or we can run some low fidelity design kit tests, or we can let's sit down and think about some initial thoughts around this. So we present these ideas to the right people. In this case it could be your product head or the PM or even the business stakeholder. We present them these ideas, and of course sometimes it's taken and we go forward with it. Sometimes it takes a little more convincing, but you will give them options, and you obviously think about, this is the kind of problem I have, and this is probably the best process to follow. So design process is very related to the kind of problem you have in hand. Not all processes will be relevant for all problem statements, but if you give them this is all you present them ye kar sakte hain, then you may get some approvals there and you can actually start working.
Do you think the users should be involved in all the stages of design?
Not necessarily. I think user of course being the center of it will get involved, but बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि आपके पास you don't have something to test it with users. You're probably at a stage where there is only secondary research that you can do. So of course there will be times when you're not able to do that with users because you don't have something built also. तो उस cases में भी जरूरी नहीं है कि हर बार user हो. एंड समटाइम्स टाइम कंस्ट्रेंट की वजह से भी आपको एक्चुअल यूजर्स नहीं मिलते, तो उसमें क्या करते हैं आप ऑफिस के अंदर रेप्लिकेट करते हैं यूजर्स को, तो वो सब काम भी करते हैं हम लोग. लाइक इट्स नॉट ऑलवेज, एंड रिक्रूटमेंट ऑफ यूजर्स इज एनीवे अ बिग हेडेक. देयर आर एजेंसीज फॉर डूइंग एग्जैक्टली दिस, दैट दिस इज माय यूजर पर्सोना, प्लीज गेट मी अ यूजर लाइक दिस.
One more follow-up question. In an academic project, like we are dealing with a lot of hypotheticals. So in that case, how would you suggest that we get an input from a variety of stakeholders, like you mentioned?
I think your network is very very crucially. The power of your network is something that we also don't realize. तो अगर आप कोई बहुत specific problem statement पे काम करें, बहुत specific, तो उसमें शायद आप you can go to that place where those users are found. So I think one of the examples that one of the user researchers in my team was doing, that she was trying to find what problems do working mothers face. So she went to CyberHub, वहाँ पे देखा, she started talking to users like Gorilla research. तो मतलब जो नेटवर्क वाला सीन है, एंड ऑफ कोर्स वो तो चलो एक गोइंग आउट, वो एक आउटरीच वाला चीज़ हुआ, बट लेट्स से अगर आपके आसपास में कॉलेज में बहुत सारे लोग हैं, जहाँ पे ज़्यादा लोग हैं वहाँ पे उसके और नेटवर्क्स आप क्रिएट कर सकते हो. सो देयर पेरेंट्स, देयर रिलेटिव्स, all these networks are untouched.
If let's say the economy is growing and people want to buy more cars, so there's a trend of increasing of conversion rate. But you are also coming up with some new designs. So then how do you, like, it may be a tough question, but how do you actually identify that this is because of the growth of the buying power of the people, or is it because of the design?
So यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा historical data helps us. Like for now we know that which months are good for us, which months are bad for us. Economy growing at scale is just a general. So indicators यहाँ पे काफी help करते हैं, because we're not just selling cars, we are also buying cars. So we start seeing an overall picture, and it's not just that we are just doing retail. We are also doing we also have a B2B business model. So वो हमारे indicators already आ जाते हैं हमारे पास. So हमें समझ में आने लग जाता है कि this is the overall market trend which is impacting our numbers. But this is actually not a design question. This is actually a business question. But मैं आपको वैसे अपने sense से बता रहा हूँ that there are external indicators which start giving us that signal. And we are doing a lot of science behind pricing and pricing engine, which also is sort of dependent on demand, supply in the market. तो वहाँ से हमें trends तो पता चल जाते हैं. तो वो समझ में आता है. तब हम attribution वहाँ से करते हैं कि this is attributed to overall demand increase, or this is attributed to the success of one of the things that we have released.
I think in both the A and B buckets there will be a similar increase.
Exactly.
We can
वो
identify.
वहाँ से भी identify हो जाएगा. Absolutely. I think you had an answer for this.
No, I just thought while.
But that's good. That's great thinking.
While testing, is there a particular sample size when you look at, especially doing A/B testing?
So A/B testing usually it's good to and there's no written rules for it. But usually what we do is, let's say if it's a high traffic page, then we would do A/B in a segment of users. So we'll not do it 50-50 for the A/B. We'll do 10% maybe we'll do 5% का A/B, so that 90% वाला हमारा funnel खराब नहीं होगा. Because that's a high volume वाली जगह. But let's say it's very very deep into the funnel, जहाँ पे मेरे users ही 100-200 हैं, तो वहाँ पे मेरे को A/B का result निकालने में साल लग जाएगा. So for there, I may be very aggressive and go 50-50, or maybe even 33 when I'm doing A/B, and then control. Control is your actual current version. So thank you so much, everyone.